1.1 is call to order of open session. Open session of the February 16th, 2022 Governing Board of Trustees meeting is called to order at 4:45 p.m. 1.2 is public input concerning items for closed session agenda. We will now call members of the public who have requested to address the governing board regarding items that are on the closed session agenda. Is there any public input concerning an item on the closed session agenda?
Are you trying to speak on something on the closed session agenda or the open session?
The closed session.
Which item?
1.1.
That's not one of our closed session items. There's 2.1 and 2.2.
Let me go back.
Sure.
2.1, I'm sorry.
2.1?
Yes. Okay. Persons wishing to address the board on any closed session item, except personnel items, are invited to do so at this time. We have 3 minutes to speak.
Oh, thank you.
But I just well. Sorry. Okay. Concerned parent.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
When I think of all the qualities necessary to be on a school board, I think of things like honesty, integrity, openness, community, empathy, determination. But above all these, I think of a servant leader. Without being a servant leader, we cannot fully execute the desires of the community. I'm here today representing my community. I moved to Carmel Valley 9 years ago because I value education. I researched all the school districts and I saw Carmel Valley's reputation, and I wanted my child to grow up with that opportunity. And I wrote something that I wanted to say, but I'd rather look at you all. I know that you all are laying off several people. And I ask that you reconsider. We're at a time where the district should be expanding. You should be hiring, not laying off. I'm here representing a huge community that will not speak because they're afraid of retaliation. They're afraid of so many different things. And I have it in my heart. I love this community. I love the people. And I think that all of you here are here for the right reasons as well. And I ask that you look back and you think back to when your children were small and what you would have wanted for those kids. And I ask that you think back and you pull back and you serve your community as the servant leaders that you should be. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I believe you may be talking about item 11.2, in which case that would be, we need a separate speaker slip for that. For a later item on the agenda, there will be a presentation on that item, so you're welcome to come back at that time. Thank you. Okay, item 1.3 is adjournment into closed session. The board will meet in closed session to consider the following items. 2.1 is conference with labor negotiator, government code, section 54957.6. One matter is identified on the agenda. 2.2 is conference with legal counsel pending litigation, government code section 549.569D1. One matter is as is identified on the agenda. Board will now adjourn into closed session at 4:49 p.m. policy, I must notify you that this meeting is being recorded. By law and board policy, any member of the public may address the board on an item on the agenda or any non-agenda items, but the public must present a written request to the board. Therefore, I ask you to kindly submit your speaker slips at this time to help us run the official meeting. Speaker slips for non-agenda items need to be turned in prior to item 4.2, hearing the public regarding non-agenda items. You'll be recognized and called to the podium at that time, and you will have 3 minutes to address the governing board. For those individuals who wish to comment on a particular agenda item, your speaker slip will be turned in by item 5.7, hearing the public regarding agenda items. You will be recognized and called to the podium when your request to action comes up. You will have 3 minutes to address the governing board. Item 3.2, report of actions taken in closed session. The governing board met in closed session and no action was taken. 3.3 is the pledge of allegiance. We now welcome Dr. McClure to listen to the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3.4 is approval of the agenda. Item 10.1 is time certain, so that'll happen at 6:15, no matter what else is going on. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Is there a second? Thank you. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, opposed? Motion to approve the agenda has passed. Item 4.1 is correspondence, Dr. McClure.
Good evening. The superintendent's office has received the following correspondence regarding district business on these topics: DMUSD health and safety plan, protocols, guidelines, and practices, masks in school, Delmar High School rebuild, funding for transitional kindergarten, appreciation for the district for advocating for children's Solid Institute activity questions, 6th grade camp, and the DMUSD message camp. That concludes the superintendent's correspondence.
Thank you. Item 4.2 is hearing of the public regarding non-agenda items. We will now call members of the public who have requested to address the governing board regarding items that are not on the agenda. Members of the public who would like to address the governing board regarding a non-agenda item is complete. A speaker slip at this time. We have 4 speaker slips. Can't read this very well, but Maria, and the last name starts with H. Sorry, I can't see the rest of the name, so. State your name for us, and then, Sing Yeager.
My name is Maria Hinojosa. I am very disappointed with the email sent last night from the district. A continuation of the superintendent's speech from the last board meeting. While the update on the state mandate is appreciated, the email is extremely biased, politicized, and not factual. We are not disappointed the school mask mandate was not lifted. Decisions regarding school safety, such as masking, should be based on data only and not be influenced by personal opinions. Unfortunately, the pandemic is not over. We are tired of it, yes, but it's not over. Cases have declined severely, but we are still at over 2,500 cases for 7-day average. When in May, June of 2021, the 7-day average was less than 100 cases. We all worry about our children's mental health. Lockdown and remote learning has affected our children's mental health, much more than wearing of masks. They are happy to be safe in school. Wearing a mask nowadays is like wearing a seatbelt while driving. The American Academy of Pediatrics has declared a national emergency in children's mental health, citing the serious toll of the COVID-19 pandemic on top of existing challenges. The organizations are urging policymakers to take several actions, such as increase federal funding, improve access to telemedicine, support effective models of school-based mental health care, etc. Masking is not mentioned in any of these actions. On the contrary, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends wearing well-fitted masks, especially during the times of high community prevalence. And school transmission has been observed more often and school districts that did not enact mask requirements. And they currently recommend universal masking in schools with an emphasis for indoor masking. Mask mandates have been lifted for vaccinated people, but there is no COVID vaccine requirement for attending schools at the moment. As we have a mix of vaccinated and unvaccinated kids, we cannot go without masks. COVID is not over. Only 8 days ago, COVID deaths reached a 6-month high in California. The reported COVID-19 cases among children spiked dramatically in 2022 during the Omicron variant surge. Almost 4.5 million child cases have been reported since the beginning of January. This is not the time to let our guard down. This is the time to stick with the data and stick with what works and has been working to keep us safe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next person I called actually looks like they're here for item 11.2. So I'm gonna issue that one. Okay, so then next we're gonna have Deanna Yates, followed by Linda Lipp.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Deanna Yates, and I want to also bring up this mask issue. I know that the California mandate was lifted, and those that are vaccinated are not required to wear a mask indoors. However, in my experience, I have seen a lot of unvaccinated people that I have verified through them verbally not choosing to wear masks when they are supposed to. So my biggest concern is how are we going to manage this when we are going to potentially ask our children to self-attest if they are vaccinated or not. And, we are trying to raise ethical future leaders of this world. And I think we put a big emphasis on that as parents, as teachers, as leaders. And I get very concerned that, the vaccination statistics are very low for children. And so that is my biggest concern. I know for a fact that there are anti-vax parents that are also anti-mask, and that this is a public school, and we need to do our best to ensure that we are helping all children. And it doesn't seem fair that the children that have taken on the responsibility to vaccinate themselves and help protect the community at large are being held to this other standard where they must take on the brunt of having to continue to wear masks because people that are not willing to get this vaccine are not willing to go that extra step and get this vaccine that is protecting themselves against long-term COVID potentially and protecting their family and the community. And so that is my biggest concern, is how are we, right now, the mandate is for unvaccinated individuals to be masked indoors. And I know for a fact tonight, I see people in this crowd that are not vaccinated and are not wearing a mask. So how are we going to police this in our schools? This is unacceptable to ask our children to bear this health concern when the people that obviously don't care about the other people around them are not willing to put on a mask and, take the responsibility for themselves. So that's all I have to say.
Hello, my name is Linda Lipp, and I'm a board-certified emergency medicine physician, and I have children in 2nd and 4th grade. Thank you for your dedication during these challenging times. I can only imagine all the behind-the-scenes works and meetings that go into planning, and I sympathize with the pandemic fatigue that you must be experiencing, as I too have had to continually adapt and learn the ever-changing conditions and regulations. I respect you as an expert in education and know that you have the best intentions for our children. I ask that you in turn listen and respect to the medical community who have expertise in helping keeping children safe and healthy. I agree we need to start lifting restrictions. It's reasonable to mask optionally outdoors, welcome back volunteers and families at drop-off, restart school assemblies and field trips. However, now is not the time to unmask children ages 5 through 11. Vaccination rates in this group are too low and overall rates of COVID are still quite high. Vaccine rates in this group is 37.8% locally. This accounts for kids getting 1 or more doses, as data is not separated out for those who are fully vaccinated. Overall rates of COVID are still quite high, with weekly rates at Delta's peak. Add that to the fact that home tests are not being reported, and these rates are likely higher than reported. And effective immediately, there's new public health orders where COVID cases will not be reported to the county. So if you look at the wastewater data at Point Loma, where 2.3 billion residents' waste are processed, the viral loads are still more than 4 times the rate during Delta's peak. Wastewater surveillance has been accurate at predicting COVID surges and serves as a measure of prevalence of COVID around the county. So if you couple low rates of vaccination with virus circulating at high rates, without masking, it would inevitably lead to COVID spreading in schools, where children spend the vast majority of their day indoors. Our district values excellence over mediocrity. Striving for excellence should also apply to the district's public health. Masking is an effective layer of protection that prevents spread of COVID. Testing is another effective layer of protection, which would especially be prudent to implement upon returning from President's Week, and even more so if masks become optional. Our school ought to mitigate unnecessary risks. As leaders, the burden falls on you to make responsible and thoughtful rules to keep kids safe so they can succeed. The argument that COVID doesn't cause serious disease is mostly true. However, did you know in January hospitalizations skyrocketed with over 200 children hospitalized in rabies, including 35 in the ICU, some which meant MICE, which is a serious condition. Also, the CDC has reported an increase in diagnosis of type 1 diabetes post-COVID infections at rates of 165%, compared to 115% for other viral infections. There are serious conditions post-COVID that must be considered, not just death from COVID. You talk about unintended consequences of masking, and as noted by the AAP, there is a mental health emergency in children, with soaring rates of depression, anxiety, trauma, loneliness, and suicidality. It should also be noted that the AAP is a strong proponent of masking indoors and an effective strategy for preventing COVID and keeping schools open. To my knowledge, there is no evidence linking masking to mental health crisis. Per AAP, it stems from physical isolation, such as with remote learning, along with ongoing uncertainty, fear, grief from this pandemic. It is dangerous and irresponsible to suggest that a link between masking and this mental health crisis, as you've alluded in your most recent communications, over 4,000 families, if anything. I worry that potential bullying or alienation can occur against students who choose to remain unmasked. Attitudes of superintendents and boards can influence parents' attitudes, and it trickles down. Our district is done well in steering clear of political controversies that plague other districts. As a leader, I hope that you can remain impartial. I hope you can respect medical doctors and leaders just as we have respect for your expertise in education. Sorry for going over.
Sorry, thank you, thank you, Linda. And I think you all know that we can't respond to comments, public comments, but thank you for speaking. Okay, we are item 5.1, Board Recognition, DMUSD Employees of the Month, February 2022.
Congratulations to these DMUSD Employees of the Month from our after-school program for the month of February. Tiana Ackerley, Marisol David, Lily Contreras, Alec Garrett, Deborah Shandi, Giselle Menez, Cindy Rodriguez, and Aria Stern. Our after-school program is wonderful, provides an incredible experience. It is fun, enjoyable, different, novel, and these are among the best of the best in after-school programs. So please join me in congratulating these wonderful employees.
Thank you. 5.2 is the board report from the Del Mar, California Teachers Association.
President Hopper, members of the board, Dr. Claire, good evening. I'd like to start real quick with a bargaining update. I know last time I brought it up, and since then we were able to resume bargaining after almost a 2-month break, I think. So I would say we had both sides agreeing that it was a really productive session last week, or the week before last, and it was extremely collaborative. But we are scheduled meeting again tomorrow, and we're looking forward to resuming our work. So next, as you would recall, at the January board meeting, I did bring up the COVID supplemental sick leave and how important it was to our teachers and staff to have the governor extend that bill. I also mentioned at the time that I was talking to our administration about the possibility of an MOU agreement that could cover staff who did take COVID-related leave in the months of August and December. We don't have anything in writing yet, but I'm hopeful that in the coming weeks we will have something together to help out those folks. Lastly, I wanted to bring up something related to one of tonight's agenda items. Although public comment on agenda items will be coming up a little later, I wanted to share that I have been receiving a great deal of correspondence from members this week in regard to staff reductions that are outlined in item 11.2. Specifically, the layoff of 5 behavior support interventionists, 4 PSIs, and 1 occupational therapist. Our members have shared with me, and I believe the board via email today, even as I've been CC'd on a few, the impact that might have and their concerns about the impact it would have on staff and students especially. As the president of the association, I just want to take a moment to ask that these concerns be taken into account and that there be a discussion to address these concerns before any decisions are made. Now, it's time for the fun part. I'm going to hand the mic over to Sarah Grassa and Michelle Jackson, our site representatives from Torrey Hills. They, along with a few of their students, are going to share some of the awesomeness happening in Torrey Hills. Yes, I did say along with some students.
President Halpern, members of the board, Dr. McClure, members of the cabinet. It's great to see all of you, and I think I have a tough act to follow as always. I love the presentation. That is so important to hear all the amazing things happening for kindness and inclusion. But I luckily get to showcase our kids and the fun that they had last week and the week before for Jog-a-thon for the Del Mar Schools Education Foundation. So we were thrilled to be able to move forward with our Jog-a-thons this year and have them be much more like our traditional Jog-a-thons, and they're outside and very safe for our kids. And so I can actually show you guys a little bit of what it looked like for those that can see it. So without further ado. Last few weeks for our schools and for our kids to be able to be a part of this, and we're super grateful to our community. I don't know if you caught it in the last slide, but we are at 89% of our district-wide goal for the year, which is just amazing. And I know we all care so much about our STEAM Plus program, and to be able to support it that way and hopefully continue to get there to meet our goal this year will only make our STEAM Plus program that much stronger. So we're very grateful to everybody, and thank you guys.
Thank you. Step up your game there. That was very joyful. Thank you. Okay, we have time certain item now, which is our audit report. Item 10.1. So 10.1 is the board review and acceptance of the annual and Measure M and Bond Fund audit reports for the 2020-21 fiscal year, prepared by Wilkinson, Hadley, King, and Company. Chris Delahanty, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services with new title. Here it is.
Thank you very much, President Halper, members of the board, and Dr. McClure. This evening we have Aubrey Yan, a partner with Wilkinson, Hadley, King, and Company, who is here to present the audit for our financials for the district as well as our measurement. So we hand it over to Aubrey.
Thank you for having me tonight. We don't have a really fun video but I do have this amazing report that's all about numbers and words about numbers. And for those of you who are number geeks like I am, this is my jam. So I'm glad to be here to present the audit to you today for the year ended June 30, 2021. I'm going to go all the way to the back of the report, which summarizes the results for you. And that is on page 117 of our report. We issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which means that these financial statements can be relied upon as being materially correct. We did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control. We audited 7 federal programs, although 5 of them kind of go together because they're the ESSER funding, the different portions of it. And we audited a number of state compliance programs. Before I talk about any findings that could be in here, I want to talk about something you're not going to see in this report. And just to take you back to the beginning of the 2021 year, in July of 2020, the state passed all the distance learning mandates and laws. The California Department of Education issued their template and guidance on August 26th, and school districts were required to comply by September 1st, which, as you know, is the beginning of your school year. As an auditor, when you see something come out with that quick of a turnaround, you expect to see a lot of audit findings. Because it's a difficult task to implement an entirely new program that quickly. And you will not see a finding for that program here, because your district showed up and turned it around, and your teachers especially should be commended for this, because it required a significant amount of work on your teachers' part. So with that being said, I am happy to report not only is there not a distance learning finding, but there's not a finding at all in this audit report for the district. And before I move on, I'd like to give you an opportunity to ask any questions you might have.
I just want to say, Chris, you have a tall standard to slip up to for next year.
No pressure. Other questions? Okay. Audit report with 0 findings. How often does that happen in your experience?
Well, you know, when you have a well-organized school district, it's pretty common. There are some where it's uncommon, so it kind of is hit or miss. There are some areas that commonly have findings, but those don't apply necessarily to your district.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks to our teachers for helping us comply, and staff for putting all this together for your report. We do need a motion to approve the audit report for the 2020-21 fiscal year.
I'll move to approve the audit. I'll second.
Thanks, Doug. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. So the motion has passed to approve audit report. Thank you.
And would you like me to talk about measure and then building fund?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So on that report, I'm going to turn to page 40, which is our summary. We also issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements for your measure and then building fund. We did have one audit finding, which is presented on page 41, and that had to do with the composition of your Citizens Oversight Committee. You had a committee member that resigned, so you were short the 7 required members as specified in the law from April 2021 until that position was assigned July 28, 2021. That is the audit finding. It has already been resolved, but we have recommended that the district put measures in place to prevent lapse where possible in the future.
Thanks for that. My microphone doesn't like me, and the microphones that can hear me. So I'm just going to speak loudly. We also need a motion to approve the Measure MM bond audit report. Is there any questions? So is there a motion to approve the MM bond audit? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? That motion passes. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, let's see. So we're at 5.4, board report, right? Board report of the Del Mar Parent Teacher Association, Del Mar School PTA President, Gigi Motlin, will provide a report. Love is in the air. Oh.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gigi Moblin, as you heard, Carmel Del Mar's PTA president. It's my first year being president, and it's, you would think, a tough year, but it's been such a blessing to see so many of you come out in the community and come to all our events. It's been an incredible experience, and thank you to all the families that keep showing up and creating those relationships for our kids that are gonna last a lifetime, and thank you for donating. So our PTs can keep doing these events, but I would first like to start off and say, I'd like to thank Colin McClaren for being such a great and fearless leader and for always doing and seeking out what's best for our children. I'm also so grateful to be in the school district, where I know our leaders, all our board members, are always advocating for our children's education, and I know they're in good hands, so thank you guys. So I'm here to talk about our future events. Right now I have pictures of our past events because I don't have pictures of the future events, but I'm going to tell you about them. So this was our first event, the Ice Cream Social, and this was in September, and we received a notice that a mandate was lifted on Friday. Our event was planned for the upcoming Thursday, which was supposed to be a drive-through event, and we were able to do it in person. And thankfully, with my board, we jumped on it, and we did, I believe, the first in-person event of the year. And I was so nervous, and it went amazing. Everybody showed up. We bought extra ice cream. We had to leave and buy more ice cream during the event, and we still ran out, which is always a great sign. I think pre-COVID, I would feel like that was a little bit of a failure at an event, but now it's a blessing just knowing how many people are coming and wanting that unity. After that, I've never done a slideshow, so bear with me, I'm gonna hit that. Oh, that thing. Okay, so mine is not as great speed. There's no cool music in the background. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna take like a little graphics thing going on. So cool. Now, for the future events, so all our PT presidents have done such a great job, and we hit this year with tons of events, and we're still going strong, guys. So much is coming up. For Ashley Falls, they're having a St. Patrick's Parents Night Out, which I want to join. They're having a family night at the Bulls game. How cool is that? Family movie night, Troy Hills. They're coming in with a book fair, bingo night, family dance, and a handball tournament. Like, I'll be showing up at these different events. Ocean Air is gonna have a movie night, Science Olympiad, Imagination Machine Assembly, Dad's Club is doing a pancake and breakfast. Yum, I'm a little jealous of that. They're also having a family fun night little party, and Delroy Hills is doing a talent show, 2 drama club performances, a book fair, World Festival, and a carnival. Like I said, they're hitting the spring with tons of events, lots of unity, and just creating relationships with all the kiddos and people in the community. For us, for Carmel Del Mar, we are extremely proud. We received the National Blue Ribbon Award for Academic Achievement, and that is just amazing. So we're going to be having a National Blue Ribbon ceremony, and I believe we have someone from Congress coming. So it's going to be big. Every child, every staff member will have a blue ribbon, blue t-shirt on. We're really excited for that. We're also having a little drama production, The Lion King. Put a matata to that. We'll be having steam night, art night, glow-in-the-dark party as well. I'm thinking we'll call it Light Up the Night. Have some LED dancers, so feel free to come to our event as well. And we'll be doing field day as well. which most all the schools will be doing the last week of school. And I'm hopeful, I've gotten some asked, when are we bringing back the father-daughter dance, the mommy-son dance? And I can't wait for that. To see those pictures of them dressed up, and it's just so cute, and those synchronized dances. So hopefully soon we can do those in person, no masks, to see those cute little faces. And I've also gotten asked, when are we going to bring back 6th grade buddies? I know it's not a PTA thing, but I'm hopeful that we'll be rid of those cohorts and be able to do that. I know it's made lifelong memories for my son when he was in kindergarten, and his 6th grade buddy is now a junior at Torrey Pines. And my son can remember, he helped me build this Lego thing, he helped me with my soccer kick. I can't remember stuff at the grocery store this morning. And it's just that sometimes we don't realize the implications that these little things, that these older buddies really give confidence to our little ones and really influence them and just make their career at elementary school so special. So hopefully that is the future. We'll be able to do that again, as well as full yearbooks. That has been big. Unfortunately, our schools didn't have a yearbook last year, but we're working on it this year. And again, hopefully there will be cohorts, so we can have kids that want to participate, be on the committee, and be able to get things done. And I just want to say we're so excited to finish this year off strong with lots of events, creating relationships. And I think our last step in creating such a positive environment on campus, after school, and in person in the classrooms is to get off those masks, especially for those kids in speech. In an IEP, they're falling behind. Kindergartners are having delayed speech with enunciation. My son's in a portable, and that AC crank's on, it's so loud in there. Where the kids can hear, for the teachers have to, excuse me, would you like to say something?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's really, it's hard for the teachers as well. So I'm hopeful that things will be changing in our future. And on behalf of all the PTA presidents, we are so excited to finish off strong and united. Thank you for your time.
Okay, 5.5 board reports, governing board members. Catherine, start.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So this month I had the great opportunity and privilege of touring our newest school, Pacific Sky School, and it's beautiful. It's going to be amazing, and the kids who have the privilege to go there are going to just, be in a very unique position for all the kids in the entire world, I'm going to say that, because it is just a fabulous, it's a beautiful school. So almost done. So that's great. It's a lot of hard work in progress. Let's see. On Valentine's Day, I attended an equity training put on by Fabiola Babula with the San Antonio Office of Education. And I attended that with some trustees from Solana Beach and the superintendent there, as well as the superintendent from Carlsbad Unified School District and a trustee from there too. And it was just a great opportunity to kind of get a taste of what our staff in these districts and in our district here in Belmar are learning with in regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that's the conclusion of my report. Thanks.
I too got to attend Pacific Sky School with Holly and Chris and a couple tour guides from Erickson Hall. And I would have to admit, it is a gorgeous school. Whoever's going to be there, it's going to be, it's a fantastic school with the views, the openness in there, the outside learning centers with the accordion doors. It's built what we had been envisioning for our district to have. And so I know once we get into the Belmar Heights rebuild, that's going to look just as nice, and I can't wait to see that going up. But it's a gorgeous school. And we also have that kitchen going on. We didn't get to go into the kitchen, we have an entrance for us to get into that yet, but that'll be nice to finally have our kitchen for our school meals. So as well. But that's my report.
I have my visitation coming up, but I did want to point out, because we do focus a lot on that school as well as Del Mar Heights, but Prop MM applies across the board to our entire district, and we're going to try and make every school something more special than what they already are, because I think all of the schools are special as they are now. Prop MM is going to enhance that, and I don't want to overlook that. So if you're not in Pacific Highlands Ranch, or if you're not in the Del Mar Heights area, you're going to get upgrades in your schools as well. So I don't think we're not paying attention to that, and I do want to bring that up. I can't believe we're at ski week already. This year's going to fly by, and this was a short month, so other than that, I have nothing else to say.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, Pacific Sky is amazing. Yeah, I went had a visit, and it's, I'm really happy for the people in the community that will be a part of that. My neighborhood is ecstatic. I would love to share with everybody in your open house. You know, everyone should come. It is probably like the most amazing school that I've seen for an elementary school students. Yeah, I'm very happy for the community there. I also like to address something. Let's address a statement that went out to parents yesterday. I wanted to clarify the statement that was shared with me by the district administration. Does not necessarily represent the opinions of the trustees and did not represent my feelings toward the issue. However, I believe the key point is the district continues to follow the public health guidelines as set by the California Department of Public Health and they'll monitor the guidelines closely. It's my expectation that they continue to follow and monitor those guidelines as they have throughout the pandemic. The pandemic has been extremely trying for all of us. It's been over 2 years where our lives have ended, constantly adjusting to protect the health and safety of our loved ones and our community. While we all seek a return to normalcy, for many of us, the pandemic is still all too real. Whether we have close contact with family who are immunocompromised, or our members who are yet unable to access the vaccine, of which I am both. Many of us in the community have Thank you. Many of this community follow precautions as recommended by physicians and public health officials to help keep us and those around us safe and healthy. Understandably, as a society, we cannot remain in a perpetual state of emergency forever. We have more tools now than we did 2 years ago, and it's important that policymakers and state public health experts consider routes for an off-ramp. When they evaluate and determine when and how those guidelines shift, I expect the district administration to be prepared to respond accordingly. While the pandemic has challenged us in many ways, I believe we're also able to see the best of humanity being expressed as we strive to generously balance our own needs with the needs of others. As guidance changes, teachers and staff must understand that there are a range of students and families with various risk tolerances within our community. Thoughtful gestures and respect for others' level of comfort will be ever so important. It'll be an opportunity to show the best of who we are, guided by our compassion and our empathy. And the same needs to be said for our teachers and district staff. They've been on the front lines of an impossible situation for the last 2 years, and I commend all their efforts and the immense amount of work and stress that entails. One thing this pandemic has taught us is that all things are unpredictable, and we need to be able to adapt. We've already made it this far. Let's continue to show the best of ourselves and extend each other much grace and understanding. Thank you.
I also attended the equity workshop that Catherine went to. This is a 3-part workshop, each 2 hours, which is being made available to school board members, and it's done in pairs of school board members from any one district, so we don't have any Brown Act violations, and happily organized by Solana Beach. So we were able to meet with school board members from across the area, not just our theater districts in San Diego. So that they did a great job, and I really like the tone that they are setting. And so we've heard good feedback all around about the New Place to Hate effort, and so this is right in line with that. So looking forward to the next 2 of those. I also attended our school board book club, which is similarly a cross-district opportunity for us to talk about books sometimes, or sometimes whatever the latest and greatest is with districts and policies and that sort of thing. So that was a a good opportunity as well. And then I went to Kendra Work's retirement party, which was fun. Happy to see her, I mean, not happy to see her, I'm happy to see her happy that she's moving on to the next phase, and happy to celebrate with her and the rest of the staff and welcome us to this new role. I think that's it for this week, this month. So with that, I'll turn it over to Holly for the superintendent's report 556.
Good evening again, board members, members of the community. This month has been very full. We've met with PTA presidents again to get their ongoing input on everything going on in the district and what they've got planned at their school sites, and it's always interesting to hear, and so grateful for all of their leadership at each of our school sites, so that's exciting. And now we're thinking about our night school, so there's already been some energy around PTA at the night school and how that's put together, and with the identification and naming of our principal for the night school, Allison Bieberg, that's a key element to then moving forward with the next steps of creating a PTA and having some parent meetings, which are in the works for all of the students and parents who will be attending that school. So we will be communicating those dates and that information very soon. So it's exciting to have all of that planning in the works. We've also met with the Sage Canyon staff, because with Allison moving to Pacific Sky School, that leaves Sage Canyon with the need for a new principal. So we've met with their staff and we've met with parents on multiple occasions to get input, and we look forward to in the near future interviewing for that position and naming a principal for Sage Canyon. So we will keep everybody informed throughout that process. It was wonderful last night. Shelley Peterson and I had a chance to attend the foundation meeting. Thank you, Phoebe. It was great to hear your report and very fun to be able to share about our STEAM Plus and what we're excited about, looking forward to in this spring, and get input from our foundation representatives and those on the board to help us think about our invitational coming up. So that was great to be with them and wonderful to get some feedback and some input last night. And a huge thank you to, is Mark Pong still in the room? Mark Pong. You are also, no, I don't think it's you because you were back there before when they talked about the audit, but Chris would be the first one to say that you are instrumental in a perfect audit. So congratulations. Yes, Mark Pong is our Director of Finance and does exceptional work all the time and is Chris's right hand and was Kathy's right hand before, and truly just a wonderful resource and expert in the world of finance, and obviously a thorough understanding of every square inch of this district and me. So thank you, Mark. Congratulations to you. And continue to participate in many, many meetings throughout the county with county superintendents, physicians, HHSA, our local health department, Dr. Wooten. So it's been very important to be a part of that as the superintendent of this district, and then be a part of conversations happening throughout the county, so that we make sure that everything you talked about, Jiwa, I would agree with as far as making sure we move ahead thoughtfully and making sure that we take care of children and the needs of our children and our staff as we move into the next phase of whatever is brought forward and the decisions that are made by those health agencies and our local authorities. So it's been very important to be a part of those conversations and to get information firsthand, and then be able to bring it back to us and share it as needed. So we will continue to do that as well, and we look forward to all that is planned in the coming weeks at every school site. It's starting to feel very much a buzz with kids doing wonderful activities and many more families around our schools, which is lovely to see as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Item 5.7 is the hearing of public regarding agenda items. This is when, if you have a speaker slip of any particular agenda item, you need to turn this in. Turn it in at this time. You'll be recognized and called to the podium when the requested agenda item comes up, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. 5.8 is board approval of minutes, the January 26, 2022 meeting. Motion to approve the minutes? Those in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. Item 6.1 through 6.21, these are consent items.
6.6, it's about the food service stations. Could you tell us a little bit more about those, what they look like, give some more information about it?
Absolutely. So this RFP was somewhat open-ended so that we could ensure that we could design them to fit each of the school sites. We had a job walk where the interested companies came out and walked Sycamore Ridge and then provided proposals based on that walk and the input we provided. We chose the one of the two that will allow us to not only provide food service now, but the structure that they'll be helping us to design will allow us to transition as needed as we move into having the kitchen and our food service program grows.
Out of curiosity, what are these kind of structures look like? Are they kind of permanent structures? Like, how is it kind of long
So
lasting?
they'll look semi-permanent. They'll be something that we could move. So if we found that we wanted to move it to a different location on the site, we could. There's electrical and some other things that will go with it. So we aren't looking to move it regularly. But for example, something similar to this was used at Earl Warren when they were rebuilding it, and then they moved them to Torrey Pines and are using Torrey Pines now. So we've been able to visit and see these structures in use and see them in actually serving food at some of our neighboring districts.
Do you know if they're in every school site?
Every school site except for Pacific Sky and Demo Heights, because as they're being designed from the ground up, we were able to design in a servery. The issue with modernizing sometimes in a number of our places, there isn't the space and the cost to redesign, as we look at some of our neighboring districts, was exponentially larger to create a servery in the space that we currently have. So it was this would be actually a cost savings as opposed to developing a servery within the space that we currently have.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. I was trying to figure out like, the cost of each individual one, so I was trying to figure out why some of the pricing was a little bit, like if you had an additional one, it seemed, wasn't.
But it's a little variable also because you may have one that is twice as wide because of the space of the food service. It might be that we put one here and one here. So there's a little bit, part of the intentional writing that RFP was such that we can then design it specific to the site. Because you know, each one of our sites is a little bit different in the location that will serve the food.
Last question, I saw that these funds come out of the MM funds. Are these going to be reimbursable at any point? You know, there's been some talk about funding for serveries and things like that.
No, we'll keep an eye on that. However, currently the funding that we have for food service is $25,000. So, you know, if there is further funding and if there's an ability to look at that, we would absolutely look at it. But right now, I am not expecting that that's the route to go.
Thank you, Chris. That's all.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion to approve the consent agenda has passed. Item 7.1 is the board report supplement to the annual update for the 2021-22 LCAP. With Vivian Firestone, coordinator of assessment data and integrated technology.
Good evening, President Helper, Board of Trustees, Dr. members of the community. Good evening. It is my pleasure to provide the LCAP supplemental to the annual update. This year, because of additional funds provided by the state and federal government, districts are required to prepare a supplemental update to the 2021-2022 LCAP. The update includes completion of the state-required supplemental template, which focuses on activities supported by the state and federal relief acts. It also includes mid-year implementation data for the 2021-2022 LCAP, as well as available mid-year outcome data for LCAP metrics. Each of you has a copy of the full report, and tonight we'll be highlighting LCAP activities, the updated budget overview for parents, and LCAP metrics. We will begin with an update on activities. LCAP Goal 1 focuses on the high-quality academic program our students experience. This year, we began the implementation of Amplified Science curriculum. The curriculum has been purchased and a resource center has been established so that each hands-on kit is replenished before it is sent to a new classroom. All teachers received an overview of available resources to support the program at the Welcome Back Day, and teachers have begun to receive more in-depth professional learning for each of the kids. We continue to provide low class sizes for our students. We have had ongoing professional learning and coaching being provided to support the co-teaching model in our classrooms. We have 3 reading intervention teachers and 1 math intervention teacher providing support to students who are significantly below grade level. And each of our principals has provided professional learning for MTSS and are establishing a safety net process for each school. LCAP Goal 2 is focused on the social emotional wellness of our students and our school communities. 2.1 and 2.4 address the social emotional components of MTSS and the role counselors play in that system. We've had 4 counselors and 1 mental health clinician join our district. Their roles and responsibilities have been defined and communicated, and they are working to ensure our students are receiving tiered support based on assessed needs. Student services in collaboration with the instructional services team are in the process of selecting a K-2 wellness survey. We anticipate the selection being finalized so that that survey can be implemented this spring. And then finally, a district level equity team has been established and has participated in 7 learning sessions. This is a mid-year update of the 2021-2022 budget overview for parents. It reflects the addition of a funding source, the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant, that was provided after the development of the 2021-2022 LCAP. The plan for this funding source was brought to board in November and contains required activities, and as required activities in this plan focus on providing professional learning for staff. Next 2 slides highlight some mid-year outcomes related to our LCAP metrics. Here you can see that all of our teachers are appropriately credentialed. We are compliant with the instructional materials in use in our district. All of our schools have had a facilities fit rating of good or better, and all of our students have access to a course of study. So for this year, 103 of our students who are learning English have been reclassified to fluent English proficients, which is about 20% of our English learner population. We just finished mid-year iReady testing, and this chart provides information for how our students performed in reading. 82% of our students performed in Tier 1, which means they are at or above grade level. 14% are at Tier 2, which means they may have some skills that need to be addressed through more targeted instruction, and 4% were below grade level and may need some significant support. In math, 82% of our students performed at Tier 1, 19% are at Tier 2, and 3% are at Tier 3. As always, these percentages represent students, and our teachers, supported by our principals, are continually monitoring students. They work diligently to understand the needs of each student and implement strategies to meet their goals. And that concludes the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Vivian, for your report. So you did mention we currently have 3 reading intervention specialists, and 1 for math. And then I noticed in the pie chart for math, we have a little bit higher percentage of students in Tier 2, and then also in Tier 3 for math. So, how's it looking for those kids? Are they getting the math support that they need?
So what's really interesting is that what's something to think about is this is 1 data point. So our teachers are evaluating student progress every day as they work with students in the area of mathematics. So while we do have that number that you see in Tier 2, I do believe that our students are going to demonstrate higher proficiency when they take the SMART balance assessment at the end of the year, and also take the end of the year iReady assessment. And I also think that the teachers and students that our math intervention teacher is working with are really seeing strong progress in those areas of need. We've been very targeted around the students that that person is working with, and also the teachers that she's working with. So.
Is 1 enough?
Is 1 enough?
We also, the answer is no. However, we do also have a full-time TOSA that works with all of our teachers and consequently our students in mathematics. So the professional learning model works with grade levels, and our TOSAs go into those grade levels where they support teachers with instructional practices and sort student work. So we are not directly working with students individually, but rather supporting the overall practices of our classroom teachers through that mathematics TOSA. It's the equivalent of one. It's really two. We have 75% and 25%.
Okay.
Now, of the students that are in the tiers 2 and 3, so in 6th grade, how are we looking versus, kindergarten? So how does that distribute across the grade levels? Are we getting them up into the higher numbers or in tier 1 by the time they get to 6th grade? Are those numbers less? I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't have those specific numbers around grade 6 for this particular assessment, but our past performance actually has demonstrated that each year our students show higher performance on sort of balance assessment, which is actually unusual. Most districts don't see that. So I would anticipate that I would see the 6th grade is definitely.
Yeah, that's not been my recollection from previous years. So I was just curious if you had numbers for 6th grade. Because it looks a lot worse, I think, but as kids go through, we get them out of 6th grade into San Diego High School District. They're doing quite well, so. Okay, thanks.
Sorry, one more question. Are we, you might have already said this, but are we administering the iReady again at the end of the year, or just with Smarter Balance?
So we will for sure be administering it for kindergarten through 2nd grade. We are considering the fact that our 3 through 6 students will be taking Smarter Balance and also would have to take iReady.
Yeah.
We don't want to over-assess our students.
Yeah.
So we will likely not be administering the iReady assessment to those 3 through 6.
Okay. Thank you very much for your report. So next we have, 8.1, board report, superintendent report, and district goals.
You've already heard much relevant, good evening again, much relevant information this evening, even with what Vivian just shared regarding LCAP and some of our goals. So I will share a little bit, as we do regularly, on just a sampling of the district goals, and we do this regularly, as we know. So I have selected 3 items to report on this evening. So first of all, and I appreciate some of the board members talking about this and the participation with other board members around our work on diversity, equity, and inclusion, it does continue to be very important to us and integral to what we're thinking about and how we approach all parts of our district. So with our children, with our staff, with our community, and we're excited about a lot of what's going on and all of the celebrations that are going on around diversity and in our district. And earlier this evening, you actually heard from Tori Hills them talk about the book Change Things, and it is a wonderful book. And what is so wonderful about this, it really helps children, and I can't speak to it as teachers can because they've been working with their children and doing just wonderful thinking and experiences with this text. But what's beautiful is children see themselves as part of such beauty and positivity when we think about diversity and inclusion and change and making the world a better place. And if we even look at the illustrations from Lauren Long, they're absolutely beautiful. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came, I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. And children can see themselves in the illustrations, because this is what we talk about when we talk about diversity and inclusion. It's a lot of different things, and it's a lot of different uniquenesses that make our district and our children special. And to see the uniqueness celebrated is really a wonderful, wonderful thing to see firsthand, and to see the quality of the experiences that our children are having with our teachers makes it so real and meaningful and impactful. So I was thrilled to see Tori Hill share a little bit about that. It is also Black History Month this month, so to see many meaningful experiences around Black History Month, and knowing that Black history isn't a moment in time, it's not a month, it's actually something that our children learn about and experience throughout the course of the year and across curricular areas. So obviously, a lot of exposure and attention during the month of February, not just here, but throughout the nation, and also all year round, as it should be. So we're excited about all that we're seeing and experiencing with diversity, equity, and inclusion. We also have our our District Equity Advisory Committee formed and will be meeting and has regular meetings scheduled, and so that committee will be a part of learning about and thinking about and giving us some ideas around equity. We also have our district-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion team. That's our team of about 60-some people from within our district that are meeting regularly to actually experience some of what we've been talking about. And now the next parts of that, and learning and growing together, the next parts of that actually will include how do we continue to have this unfold throughout our district, in every school, every department, and every community. We also are going to be participating in the Equity Conference that the San Diego County Office of Education is sponsoring in May. STEAM class, I referenced a little bit earlier when I was talking about the foundation. Shelley and I were at the foundation meeting last night. We're going to be having, as you can see here, this is a major emphasis this year. It's very fitting in that we also will be going through some strategic planning this spring and into the fall with the sunset of District Design 2022 and the year 2022. So right along with that comes thinking about our STEAM class. Some of our most valuable experiences, some of our our highly qualified teachers in those programs, and how we can make our STEAM classes robust and wonderful moving forward with the input from parents, from teachers, staff, and of course our students. So the invitational event is March 22nd, rescheduled from before, and all parents are invited, and of course our staff is invited as well. So we look forward to that. We're also going to be getting input from our staff through surveys and focus groups, so we're eager to come around and have some specific conversation around STEAM Plus. We've already been getting that from our professional relations team and the input that's been going on through our schools and through the NCTA. So appreciate all of the ongoing input, and of course, different ways to get thoughts and input and feedback from our students that will make our STEAM Plus program soar into the next stages and steps of our strategic planning and our STEAM Plus programming. And the third and final one is funding. It is one of our priority actions is to develop a budget that supports the priorities of the LCAP and our district design, which is our strategic plan. So I'm pointing out tonight there are two additional big ticket items that we're analyzing, that we're looking at, that actually are not identified in DB 2022 because they're a result of recent or pending litigation. So the first one, as you know, is universal meals. We've had a conversation about what do they call them?
Quick cafes.
I call them quick cafes. Quick cafes at each school, as well as the serveries at our new schools, and the actual implementation of the Universal Meals Program, which is a huge undertaking that we will have in place by August, and going from Choice Lunch, which truly is a completely outsourced program, to a completely different model is a huge undertaking. So I commend Chris, your whole team, and everybody working on that, and the great work that's going on, because I know we will be up and ready to go. We are looking at the impact that that program could have on the district's general fund as we're looking at funding. Another big one is Universal Transitional Kindergarten. This is a highlight and a high priority for the state of California. The governor has talked a lot about all 4-year-olds receiving at 14th grade of education, starting with transitional kindergarten. It is not funded for basic aid districts. So right now, we do not have funding for it, and it's not in the current legislation or in the current budget. So we're heavily advocating for funding to be able to consider offering a 14th grade for our youngest children. At this time, we do not qualify, we're not eligible to receive funding, and we do not receive funding because we are a basic aid district. So that is another big item that we look at as far as funding, and it is, both of those are outside of what we had anticipated in District Design 2022 and therefore budgeted. So that concludes the three I brought forward for you tonight.
Thank you for this update. What's going on? We'll look forward to hearing more about the next design 2025. What's the next one? Process?
I know.
That doesn't need a turn. Okay, thank you. Item 8.2 is board approval of the California School Boards Association 2022 Delegate Assembly election and ballot. In everybody's agenda and online is the names of folks that we could vote for. We can vote for up to 9 candidates, and including our very own Juwan Mock. So I'll start with proposing that we include Juwan on our list, and then do others want to add any of these candidates to our vote?
Marla, Fringe.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, is there anybody else that wants to add? Okay, so I think I need a motion to approve our vote for Marla Stritch and Juwan Mock for the delegate assembly.
Can I eat for myself?
So we have to do separate movements because I feel like I already moved forward.
I'll make a motion
Oh,
for
yes,
myself.
make a motion.
Tomorrow, let's switch to be on delegate assembly.
Is there a second? Okay, after a second, all in favor? Aye. The motion has passed. Okay, item 9.1 is a board report facilities update.
Good evening again, President Halper, members of the board, Dr. McClure. This evening I will do my monthly facilities update and will touch on Delmar Hills Academy modernization, Pacific Sky School, and Delmar High School rebuild. For Delmar Hills Academy modernization, I don't have much to report new from last month. We're continuing to work with the architects, and so really right now we're in the behind the scenes piece where they're developing some of the designs and schematic design, and once we've gotten that a little bit more fully developed, we'll be able to come back and get some further input from our staff, and be able to then bring some design ideas and some information to the board and give you some more visuals so you can help to see what is coming. And then that'll also be the cost estimate so we can see, based on the budget, well, what can be done and some prioritizing. For Pacific Sky School, as was shared, it's been great to have some board members come and visit. We've been very fortunate to the team at Erickson Hall, the team with OBR have kept that project moving very quickly, as well as Mike Gallus. As each month, we're able to show some further steps being taken. These are the doors that I believe Scott mentioned, and it really, if you look at this side, this allows access into our hallway, which really won't be a hallway, it's going to be an extension of the learning space. And then the other side, we have a similar, so that you can really turn with the amazing San Diego weather we have and expand these spaces and have students able to learn indoors, outdoors, and connect between classrooms, which is a goal and something that we've really envisioned as we've continued to look at learning and what classroom environments should be able to do. As we look here on the bottom, this is actually our after-school program building. So our after-school program building and our kitchen were towards the end because we don't need to make sure we can have students in those classrooms to start in August of 2022, but they have just flown through, got the roof on, and the after-school building is coming together. This is our kitchen, which now has a roof on it. It's starting to come together, and so they're really making progress so that those two buildings will hopefully be delivered earlier than is expected. So that's our goal, is to try to move that up if possible. And then this is the back of the multi-use room and innovation center. And you know, if you haven't been out there, it's not as clear, but this leads into the innovation center. And so for those that have been, you can see how that view and that connection into our outdoor is going to be something that you can see throughout. And then we'll have, we're starting to have some of the beams coming up where we'll start having shade structures that will come into our lunch area and start to fill that space up. So great progress being made. I'm out there every week, and I see something new every week, and so it's really exciting to see it continue to move forward. Delmar Heights School rebuilds, we have made some progress as well. The coastal development permit has been approved and recorded, so we are moving forward with our site preparation. We have issued the notice for the actual demo and groundbreaking, which will happen on March 7th. Site prep and work on abatements going on, and the groundbreaking, a formal groundbreaking is being scheduled for March 15th, so very exciting steps to be able to be taking. As we've said throughout, 14-month construction schedule, March 7th, 2022, leads to May of 2023, and as we've done with Pacific Sky, anything we can do to keep that moving and move it even more quickly, we will do. And we're very confident in Balfour Beatty and DLR Group, Baker Nowicki, to be able to help us to move that project forward. And then I would just point to Doug, I appreciate you mentioning the other work across the district. Each month I come up and share about these projects because most of the other work does go on over the summer, but we do have work at every one of our schools in classrooms. We just had a meeting today that Shelley Peterson and Jenny Hull were on with me looking at play structures, and we're looking to bring play structure updates to a couple of more sites this summer, and then the remainder of sites next summer. So I would just share, it isn't in this presentation, but there is ongoing work so that we can have that summer work so that we can impact every school across the district, and that's definitely a focus that we continue to have. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Okay, we are at item 11.1, board approval resolution number 2022-06, non-reelection of certificated staff member. Oh, all right, 10.2, sorry, Chris, is consideration of change order regarding the lease-back agreements for the Delmar Heights School Rebuild Project. I think I'm looking at the
And unfortunately, I did mention last month when we updated that contract that I likely would have to come back, and I am here with the change order. As a result of not being able to start construction when it was originally intended with the current, up to this point, pricing, having lapsed approximately 6 months in that start time, we have seen escalation continue. And unfortunately, we've seen, we see it in the news with inflation. It is dramatic in some areas of construction. So we have worked with Balfour Beatty. It's actually about $100,000 less than what we originally gotten. But I am coming to the board with a change order. Being able to start now, we've been able to notice Balfour so we can move forward. But we are, at this point, there's another $2 million because of the 6 months that it took us to get from the last pricing to this, and pricing isn't held up, unfortunately.
Are there any comments?
How long are they keeping this price?
They, pending board approval, this will hold. If we didn't get board approval and we had to go back, pricing would increase between now and next month.
But how long will it hold for? Are
They-
they going to guarantee the price for a period of time?
Oh, so this is guaranteed for this, absent something unforeseen as written in the contract, this would be the price that would take us through the bill. Or some other unforeseen delay that stops construction for a period of time.
Okay, thank you.
So this would hold the price, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. This would hold this pricing for the project.
Chris, can you tell me how much, so there's, this escalation cost is 2.1 million. Can you tell me what the previous one was?
The previous escalation was between 4 and 5 million, so we were 49 million and over 49 million for the original pricing that we got for June of 2020, and then we were around 54 million for the update that was brought in September, and so then this is another 2 million on top of that.
The 2 million plus the, say 5, sorry?
So approximately $7 million.
7 million, and then this is not including litigation costs.
It is not.
And what, do you know what the litigation costs are?
At our last Citizens Oversight Committee presentation, It was in the range of, overall, so this is not just litigation, but overall fees for attorney's fees were around $440,000.
And those are just were those just for our attorney's fees, or are they
For our attorney's fees, and for comparison, I think we're about $80,000 for Pacific Sky.
So we're looking at probably like, due to litigation, it's getting close to $8 million. That because of litigation, it's cost us about $8 million extra dollars that we would not have had to spend. And I think Doug got a take on this last time, but for me, it's I guess it's my turn to kind of say something. And it's just, I am incredibly disappointed that's gotten here. You know, as somebody that worked on, when knocking door to door for this bond money, like spending, I don't even know how many countless hours I was running around trying to get us $186 million, to waste $8 million for nothing. I mean, if you look at the project from when it started to now, it is literally the exact same project. There is no, I cannot say that it's entirely frivolous. And the matter that it keeps going on, if there's any additional frivolity in trying to continue these lawsuits, it is absolutely stunning to me. And as community members in this community, we should be outraged that this is happening. This is a complete waste of our money. Absolutely a complete waste. And like I said, I had to go around door to door asking for this money, you know, that people would contribute. And we're taking about 5% of it for no reason, just out the door like that. So I hope this does not continue. I hope that we are able to move forward with this project. I hope, obviously, I'm going to agree to any escalation costs because we have to get that done. But I'm really disappointed that this is where it's at.
I have a question. Are there any legal protections for public agencies like school districts when we are confronted with lawsuits to help us in these circumstances? When obviously this is a construction company that has their costs to, you know, they have to take into consideration, but just, you know,
Well, with respect
it's
to
taxpayers' money and,
yeah. I mean, with respect to the construction company, I think they've worked to hold pricing as long as they could. There just are things that were, some of the pricing was held till, you know, the new year. And when we got past the new year, there are a number of things that come with increases where there are changes in hourly costs, and so pieces happened there. There were also increases that came January 31st. There are pieces in time where increases come, and you know, they aren't contractually obligated to hold in perpetuity. So they had, you know, numbers that they held to the dates that they committed to. They've worked with us to try to reduce the impact, but you know, I will say that I think Balfour Beatty has been a fair partner with us in this.
yeah, and I'm not saying anything, you know, regarding that, I'm just wondering if there's any, it just seems like such a shame. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
Are you asking about lawsuit insurance? Because I
don't know if I have no idea, I'm aware. I'm just asking if there's any protections for school districts, you know, like, I guess not.
Well, usually you would find that when a plaintiff is told by counsel, judges, commissions, the same answer, that they would stop. And I'm hoping that that's where we're at right now.
Okay, well, I agree with all of that. With that, I want to ask, is there a motion to approve the change order regarding the lease-back agreement for the Del Mar High School development?
I'll move for that. Unhappy.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second. I'm happy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm happy with me.
Okay. Okay. Now we're on 11.1, board approval resolution number 2022-06, non-reelection of certificated staff members. Ryan Stanley, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good evening again, President Halper, members of the board, and Dr. McCord. Today I am bringing forward a request for approval to approve resolution 2022-06, non-reelection of certificated staff member. Education Code 4492921 requires that the Board of Education notify a probationary employee in their second year of probationary status of the decision not to reelect the employee for a position for the following school year. And then without this action, the employee will become a permanent teacher the following school year. So I am recommending that our board adopt the following resolution.
Thank you for the recommendation. Are there any questions? Okay, is there a motion to?
But I do have a question. With the statute in place, why do we need a resolution?
The resolution is authorizing my department to be able to issue the notice. And so the March 15th notice is requiring for the board to take action to approve the resolution, and then that allows me to issue the layoff notice or the non-reelect notice to the employee.
So it empowers you to enforce that statute?
Correct.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor of approving resolution 2022-06, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? None? That carries. Thank you. Okay, and Ryan, you could stay up there for 11.2. We have received a number of emails on this, and I have five people commenting on this item. So if those of you who are familiar with the process here, what we do is we'll hear the presentation, and then we will have any board questions, and then we'll invite the public to comment, and then we'll have a board discussion, and then we'll make a decision. Okay, so go ahead.
Great, thank you. So this item is requesting approval of resolution 2022-04, notice of layoff for classified employees, reduction in force due to lack of funds and or lack of work. So recently we had a change to statute and law. So effective in January 1st of 2022, Assembly Bill 438, it changed the classified layoff process for permanent classified employees. And as this changed, permanent classified employees may only be laid off for the following school year by noticing them before March 15th. Previously, school districts were allowed to provide 60 days of notice at any point in time when it was determined that there was either a lack of work or a lack of funds to support. But with the recent change in law, we now, and school districts are really being forced to notify employees by March 15th, and we have no other option. So the way education code is written, it outlines two reasons why permanent classified employees may be laid off, either a lack of funds or for a lack of work. And so technically, this would be for a lack of work. And we need to ensure that the positions in our district are supporting students, department, and district needs. The resolution that we are bringing forward identifies the positions that we do not have the work to warrant. And so the positions being brought forward to you are Child Nutrition Services Assistant. We are currently working to identify a vendor for our school lunch programs for next year. And this company may provide their own servers, or they may try and hire our staff as their own employees. And due to the uncertainty at this time regarding our lunch program for next year, permanent CNS nutrition service assistants, they must receive a layoff notice prior to March 15th. Behavior support interventionists. The intent behind the layoff for our BSIs, the behavior support interventionists, is not to eliminate the support, but rather to prioritize where and how and when these behavioral supports are provided to students and staff. Across our district, as we continue to improve and provide additional supports to our students in different programs. For example, we've created a SELF program, and as we work to put new tiered systems of support in place to support our students. For example, we've added counselors, we've added a mental health therapist. We no longer have to work for 5 40-hour interventionists who are not directly assigned to support students and whose hours currently extend well beyond the student's day. We recognize that there is absolutely an ongoing need to support our students' behavior and to support our teachers in the classroom, and this resolution helps us prioritize when and how these district services, or these direct services, will be provided to our staff. Our 5 current PSIs will return to their previous support positions, and they will provide support, direct support to our students and to staff during the students' school day. This move will put employees in the right position to meet the needs of students. Next position is occupational therapist. We do not have the work to necessitate 4 occupational therapist positions. A typical caseload for an occupational therapist is about 60 students. Next year, we will begin the school year with 120 students who receive OT services, and we currently are employing 4 occupational therapists. So we do not have the work to support 4 occupational therapists. And then lastly, the coordinator of education and information technology. Looking at the needs of the technology department, we have identified the need for a director level position to lead the department's work. We will be significantly revising the director level position, and we do not have the work to support both a director level position leading the technology department in addition to a coordinator position. So we ask that you approve this motion.
Okay, first we want to take clarifying questions from the board, and then we'll go to comments.
Can you kind of explain what the, for the behavioral supports interventions, could you explain kind of what the position was created for, what the history of it was, purpose?
Absolutely. The position was actually created in 2015, 2016. And at that time, they were there to provide a different level of support for some of our students prior to us having specialized programs or more specific and targeted programs throughout our district. The behavior support position, the way it is currently written, it really is identifying, providing supports for students, whether they be on the autism spectrum, whether or not they have emotional disturbance, other behavioral needs, and then also the way the position was created was to provide ABA support, or it's a methodology for supporting students which no longer matches the methodology that we're using that our students currently are requiring. So the position was designed as a 40-hour position so that the BSIs then were providing supports for students at that time, providing supports for staff, but then their workday extended from beyond the school day after students went on for an additional hour and a half on the outside.
And so a lot of the emails that we're receiving, a lot of the discussion that we're receiving is that essentially what I see is that the BSIs are providing a support to the teachers. They're there. There sounds like there's a difficulty in them being able for the teachers to be in like 2 places at one time. A lot of times it sounds like there are issues with children that may have behavior issues, and that's maybe an emergency type situation where the teacher has to call for some additional help. And my question is are we going, if we remove this position, will there still be some sort of plan in place? Will there be some sort of option to assist the teacher to provide support for these students and also like for keeping other students safe?
Absolutely, and that's why, and I think that's the point of clarification on this, is that your position is not behavior support. We are recognizing that we still continue to have students and staff who need support with some of these students. And so what's going to be happening with change is that our current people who are in the BSI positions, they will return to the previous positions they were in prior to becoming behavior support interventions to provide those supports for students. The difference is that rather than working for a 40-hour work week, they'll be working for a 30-hour work week in order to provide supports to students while students are here at school.
So, I'm sorry, just really briefly, are you suggesting it would be similar, like they would have a similar position, it's just a matter of cutting the work week a little bit shorter for them, but the same support would still exist in terms of, for teachers and for students?
We still are going to have the supports for students. The way that the current description as far as a PSI is written to provide ABA therapy and supports of that nature, that's no longer a need that we have in our department. Instead, we're looking to provide additional supports to students in the classroom for a variety of behaviors versus this original job description that was written a little bit more to tailor towards autism spectrum. But really, it's about being able to provide a wide variety of supports for students who have behavioral concerns.
The follow-up question is just, can you just clarify, will there be these positions in the classroom more, less, or the same as currently, as far as how many hours of support are going to provide to students?
There will be no, with this resolution, there will be no changes to the amount of supports available to students in terms of hours, because we are recognizing that the students need to have support while the students are here at school.
The change in the nature of the support.
It's more of the after school, the extra hour and a half a day, where we're not, there's no students there, so we're not meeting them at that time. So that's my understanding of it.
And recognizing that they will still be able to complete some of the work with data analysis and providing supports for teachers, that will also be able to happen within the work hours.
So that's my concern. Data analysis on a desk, not inside a classroom. I'm wondering, are these intervention specialists participating in IEP processes? Are they sitting at the IEP tables? Are they collaborating with special education teachers? Are they writing reports? All of that again is time away from students in the classroom. So that hour and a half, and I know as I'm a teacher, as soon as the bell rings, I'm, doing a million things to support my students when I'm not with my students. So that's what I'm wondering, what's going on in that hour and a half currently?
And we absolutely, our aides, our folks who are supporting students in the classroom are also able to collect and interpret data while they are working with students at the same time. When we think about the role of a classroom teacher.
I'd like to ask the room to stop with this. We have plenty of time for comments, and the board wants to understand the situation, so that's why we're asking the questions. Thank you.
In a classroom, we have classroom teachers are working with a group of students, working with a small group, working with a large group, and while they're working and providing direct supports to students, they also are actively collecting data on how students are working, how they're performing, how they're working towards particular tasks. And so they still will, even within, as we are looking at support, providing staffing and supports, we will also make sure that there is time within the day to analyze support data, provide information as needed. They aren't participating directly in IEPs, these positions. However, they are providing or helping to collect data to help inform some of the IEP goals that are related to students.
I just hope that this reduction in hours doesn't reduce time spent with students, because then whatever's being done once the bell rings, the data analysis or the sharing of data with whoever's needing it, is then being done during regular school hours. That's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Other questions before the comments? Okay. Thank you. We'll have you back in a minute. First speaker is Michelle Chavez, followed by Katie Artiano.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak this evening. I apologize, I'm going to speak really fast so I can get through all of this, and I'm not going to make eye contact, which I would never do. I'm a fourth grade teacher at Sage Canyon and a proud member of our Del Mar School District family for 28 years. I warmly and firmly embrace our district's commitment to the identification and service of students with special needs within the least restrictive environment. It's always our goal to work towards full inclusion in the general ed class. Our BSIs are a critical component of our well-respected special education program. They work with any child whose behaviors affecting their abilities to learn in class. They have specific training on how to use evidence-based techniques for the prevention and de-escalation of student behaviors in order to build and maintain a safe school environment where all kids can learn. To do this, they work collaboratively with the behavior specialists to create a behavior intervention plan. Writing these bits cannot be done in a classroom while supporting students. Currently, our BSIs work 40 hours a week and on their own time became registered behavior technicians. Sadly, it's come to our attention at the board's going to vote this evening on whether or not to get rid of these positions and instead offer our colleagues an opportunity to apply for a different position with a reduction in hours, 10 hours less, and the additional requirement that they pay for their own health insurance. If the district plans to eliminate these positions to hire more aides, I would want to know how many A2 or A1 positions will be hired in an effort to replace the services and responsibilities the BSIs are responsible for. I'd also ask the board to consider the amount of training that will be provided these aides. The responsibilities of BSIs require much more time and training than our amazing classroom aides currently receive. Their responsibilities as listed in their job description include 18 bullet points. The emotional and behavioral needs of many of our gen ed and special ed students that affect their ability to learn have not lessened. Instead, they seem to have increased, especially with the anxiety that COVID has added. I would argue that we need more support for our children, not less. As a gen ed teacher in charge of teaching and caring for up to 27 other students in class, I cannot lead all of them to follow a child who's left the room suddenly or stop all instruction and find a way to de-escalate the child who's having a severe outburst and who may be trying to harm themselves or others in class. BSIs help all students stay safe and help all students learn. I'm respectfully asking you to please consider the increasing emotional and behavioral support that many of our students need in order to learn and be successful in the classroom and on the playground, and therefore refrain from eliminating these positions. They may be able to find full-time employment with benefits in another occupation, but please, let's save them for our most valuable resources, our kids. Students, teachers, and students, parents, and teachers all need these crucial members of our learning team. I know we budget very carefully and thoughtfully in our district, thanks to the incredibly hardworking district office employees. However, I would respectfully ask you to consider keeping our BSI employees, their dedicated colleagues, and consider hiring additional aides as well. Thank you very much, and as always, I appreciate the opportunity.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Behavior Support Team. My name is Katie Artiano, and I am one of the District Behavior Specialists. I have grave concerns about the adverse impact that eliminating 5 behavior support interventionist positions will have on our students and staff. The BSI position was developed to build capacity across instructional aides. In order to do this, the BSIs have been provided with ongoing mentorship and training from the 2 district behavior specialists. The information and training delivered to the BSIs has then been brought back to their respective school sites to maximize the quality of behavioral programming district-wide. A BSI begins the workday connecting with classroom teachers, anticipating behavioral challenges for the school day. During the school day, the BSI is modeling behavior interventions, ensuring accurate data collection, providing direct student support, and leading crisis intervention. When students leave, the BSI is compiling and graphing student data and assisting with behavior incident report write-ups. Because direct student and instructional aid support is necessary during school hours, many of these tasks cannot be completed until after school. 2 behavior specialists across 8, soon-to-be 9 schools cannot provide this level of support given our many other job responsibilities, including conducting assessments, developing behavior plans, ongoing data analysis, consultation with teachers and specialists, and attending IEP meetings. Without the support of the BSIs, the instructional aides will not have the support that they need to effectively target student behavior, and the integrity of our data will be compromised, resulting in a lack of student progress. It was explained that the responsibilities of the BSIs can be fulfilled by a level 2 aide. While some of the level 2 aides have had exposure to similar training, the skill set of the BSI staff is unique and specialized. Our 5 BSIs have been providing service to students in our district for between 10 to 23 years, have pursued additional certifications in behavior analysis, and receive ongoing oversight from a district behavior specialist. This level of support and training has allowed our site teams to maintain accurate data, adjust behavior supports accordingly, and conduct defensible assessments and IEPs. Additionally, when instructional aides resign, the BSIs have been able to support sites with maintaining continuity of behavioral programming. The current model of behavior support that we have in Del Mar is exemplary and highly regarded by other districts in our CELVET. Because of their flexible schedules and skill set, the BSIs have been able to aid in the district's efforts to maximize Tier 1 and 2 behavioral supports across special ed and general ed. In many cases, this has prevented the need for students to require more intensive supports or more restricted placement. Our BSIs play an integral role in the success of our students and serve as tremendous support to our staff. I'm hoping that you reconsider the elimination of this position. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is David Greenfield. I'm the parent of 2 children, one of whom is a 6th grader at St. Canyon Elementary. I'm here tonight to speak against the district's proposal to lay off 5 behavioral support administrators, as well as an occupational therapist. Our son has had an IEP since he was in kindergarten. To say that we were intimately familiar with Del Mar Union School District's special education program, the capabilities of the aides, and the benefits of BSIs is an understatement. The services that the BSIs provide are crucial to properly functioning school. Eliminating the position does not eliminate the need for them, but instead shifts their responsibilities in managing student behaviors onto the general education teachers and staff, thus impacting the entire student body. We've seen this firsthand. Like many students in the district, our child is extremely bright, but he's developmental and learning disabilities. At times, these disabilities have proved so frustrating for our son that he's had behavioral challenges. In our early years at Sage, our child was under-supported by a rotation of aides who did not have proper training. The transiency and lack of skill among these aides made it practically impossible for our son to meet his educational goals in a general educational classroom. His aides did not have the experience or training to know how to redirect him when his behavioral challenges became overwhelming for a general education teacher in the class. His entire class suffered due to his behavioral issues. As a result, there were times when he would spend hours in the quiet room, literally peeling wallpaper. There were times when he'd be locked out of school for cool-down time. On a good day, our son spent 50% of his day in the general education classroom. To say that he was not receiving a FAPE is an understatement. Now, things changed dramatically when we included aid support with training equivalent to a BSI as a requirement in our IEP. Within a few months, thanks to BSI support, our son transitioned to being a typical student in his general education class. He still has his disabilities, but with behavioral support, they are no longer debilitating for him or disruptive for his peers. He is a popular member of his class, and he is well known and loved in the Sage community. There is zero doubt in our minds that the reason our son has made the progress that he has is due to the BSI support. I know we are not alone in relying on the BSIs in our district. We've seen firsthand how the skills and dedication of our BSIs, first Samantha Schulten and now Jason Billings, have been felt across Sage Canyon well beyond just a special education program. We have witnessed the flexibility in the ways they work with each student, whether it be crisis situations, ongoing consultations, or daily behavior. The BSI provides support to the entire class and school by shifting the onus of managing student behaviors away from the general education teachers and onto those with specialized training. As a result, the classrooms are calmer, the teachers are able to focus on teaching, and the students are able to thrive. It's a rare win-win-win situation. You see them almost at times, I'm not going to be able to finish my remarks, but I want to address what Ryan said, which is at best misleading. The SELF program is equivalent, that these BSI will still function. By cutting their hours from 40 to 30, you will lose them. They work well beyond the classroom time. The SELF program is no offense to
You
those-
have 15 seconds to
The
conclude.
SELF program is at best a daycare center where kids go and receive no education and minimal support. You cut these BSIs, you will cut the abilities of any student who needs behavioral support to function in the classroom. Don't do it.
loves school. She tells me all the teachers and aides that she hung out with. It was probably until this month that she's able to tell me who her gen ed teacher is and the kids in the gen ed class. My child is on the spectrum. She has extreme ADHD. It's very, very hard for her to focus. With that being said, she is able to read almost at grade level. She is second grade. She has been at 4 different schools in this district. Now she attends Ashley Falls. I could drop her off in 10 minutes. However, with the bus schedule, she's being picked up at 7:10. School starts at 8, which means that she literally, second grader, has a 2-hour commute to school every day. And teachers were wondering why there were more behaviors seen from her this year than before. It was because of Katie here, who has done an excellent intervention plan for her. She's getting more support. She's able to function better, so I heard. Or not hearing from the principal, therefore doing better. I'm not asking for special treatment. My child has special needs. She needs IEP. IEP needs resources and good communication to help family, to help parents, so that they can in turn support their child and support the school. I would also like to mention that in terms of diversity and inclusion, April coming up is Autism Awareness Month, and I would love to see some activities planned around that for our kids on the spectrum. Thank you.
So now we'll go to any follow-up questions from board members.
Discussion or questions?
Or questions or discussion?
I'm curious. And I'm not sure where our discussion is going to go, but is it possible to amend what you're proposing to include or disinclude some of the things that you've listed? You have 3 different segments to it. And I must say I have some concerns. Reducing the number of hours could potentially facilitate those people going to other districts, leaving our district, and then we're left with nothing. And that's not going to help anybody. Before I go on, I do want to say, having a child that went through some of the services you offer, I must say that behavioral support people have the patience of saints, and I appreciate what you all do. But what we're talking about here is not making character assessments or any judgments about that. I think your work is very much appreciated. If I understand what you're saying, the work has just, we're pushing it all into the school day. But it sounds to me like those people will lose their insurance, and in today's world, when that happens, we may find that they go to another place. And I'm concerned about that, especially with COVID creating more behavioral issues, not less. So I'm not disputing the need to compress time. I'm just concerned at the result of what we may decide. So my question to you is, if we were to amend what you're proposing, is that something that we could do?
Yes, as a board, you would have the option of excluding a particular group from the layoff resolution. To your question about benefits and losing benefits, for when an employee goes from 40 hours as a full-time benefit position and then a reduction in hours to 30 hours, all of our employees across the district who work 30 to 39 hours, They are still eligible for district benefits. However, the change is that as the employer, we will contribute 70% towards the employee cost, and then the employees then will be responsible for the difference. So they will still have access to benefits, but there would be a cost to the employees.
And therein lies, again, my concern, but I'll open it up to others to voice their thoughts.
I mean, I'll ask a question. I just feel like I still want to understand a little bit the situation with, like, when this position is established and why and what changed, and then how is that going to be covered now? All the functions that were, unless you don't need the same functions. Could you just explain a little more history and context?
I'll take that one. So this position was created back in 2015-16. We had a very different program then. We had significantly different number of students receiving special ed services. The position as it is described in the job description is to assist our board certified behavior analysts. We have 2 board certified behavior analysts. That is not changing. We have the 5 BSIs who currently support the BCBAs by being available for data collection, observing students during a behavior assessment, collecting that data. It is the behavior specialists, the BCBAs, who analyze that data, put it into a report, present it at an IEP meeting, not our BSIs. The BSIs are absolutely valued, and I appreciate the perspective of all the people that we heard from today, and I agree that behavior is definitely something we're committed to serving, but the nature of our programs have changed. We do have, right now, a different program than we had in 2015 and 16. We have created classrooms that are specific to needs of students, and we have a smaller number of school sites serving those programs. This position is a special education position. It is part of the special education team, and it is supporting students with IEPs who have behavior plans. And we have 30 students who have behavior plans across the district, and many of our instructional aides, our A2s, are, as part of their job description, also supporting behavior for students, and will continue to do that. And we absolutely want to utilize the expertise of our staff, all of our staff, and make sure that we're supporting the behavioral needs of our students.
Let me ask you, in the community, this type of position is coveted in other districts, right? I'm going back to if I lose this portion of my coverage, or if I have to contribute to my health care, I'm gonna go to another district. I've heard, I think I've mentioned before, my wife deals with kids. She sees a need for behavioral people. And so if this is a position that's coveted in other districts, I'm still concerned that we're gonna lose these people. And is it a coveted position in other districts?
Most of the neighboring districts in our SELPAs do not have this position. The services are provided by instructional support aides or support staff. They'll have 1 or 2 BCBAs, but they do not have BSI positions. And again, we will continue to have support staff who meet the behavioral needs of our students, working directly with our students, providing direct intervention and services to students as they are now.
Thank you. I mean, I'm hearing you say that the same services will be provided, and there'll be the same number of hours in the classrooms. You're just changing the program and restructuring it to match what you're doing now.
after-school piece, what is that? What does that entail? That's not going to happen anymore.
So right now, the time after school really is committed to data and sharing with BCBAs, sharing data.
So how is that going to happen if they're not there after school?
And like I said, we'll still be meeting this need, but it will be with a, right now our BSIs don't carry a caseload of students necessarily. They're supporting and they're assigned to a site to support other instructional aides who might be supporting students. So we will be able to utilize that skill set working directly with our students.
What I'm a little bit confused about is,
Let me just clarify something, the speaker slips have to be turned in by item 5.7.
Yes, but when I came in earlier at 4:45, Representative Blue, you told me I'd wait until the end to get the end, so I'm referring back to that.
I'm sorry, you were present when I read the items, but you have to turn it in like everybody else at the item, the time that's in the agenda.
so what I'm a little bit confused by is that it sounds like what you're telling me is that it should be roughly the same support. It should approximately, there will be direct student support. Yet, what I struggle with is that then why do we have to eliminate the position at all? I mean, if it's the same, then wouldn't it just be the same? So,
Yes.
It has to do with the March 15th piece, because you're changing this position, so you're going to have to notice them, I believe, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to notice them in order to be able to change that position. So this position as it exists won't exist. Now, if the Assembly bill hadn't passed, there would be different avenues in which we could do this. It's unfortunately that our hands are tied from the way Sacramento has done this, to make all classified changes have to be done by this March 15th date. Now, it's not to say that you can't, because if you don't notice them there, you can't make any changes, so you're done. If you notice, now you can bring them back, you can decide, well, I do need them, you can bring them back in their full position, or you could say, we want to make that change that we anticipated. But you can't make a change after March 15th, you're done.
I think what he's saying is.
yeah, I get the timing issue, but what I'm suggesting is that if the position is removed and we're suggesting that the position will, the responsibilities and the duties are essentially going to be covered, then why remove that position at all? I mean, then why do this?
If we change the program, but we're gonna offer the same services, then we really have to change the program.
Doug, or NGO, if I may, where that's going to change then is that the need in supporting the students is going to be then within moving from a 40-hour position into a 30-hour position in order to make sure that we have the supports to support our students during the regular school day.
So essentially what you're saying is that we're basically going to have the exact same position, but that it'll be cutting a little bit of this, it'll be compressed, the timing will be a little bit less, and they may have to pay for their 30% health insurance.
No, we're not saying that. Also saying that what we're looking to try and do is, I think our responsibility is also making sure that we have a variety of staff members who are able to help support our students. And the fact that supportive behavior doesn't exist primarily within our 5 individuals as BSIs. We are really looking to make sure that we have many of our instructional aides are highly trained and trained and able to help and support in a variety of ways for challenges that might arise in classrooms and to support students. And in addition, the job description, the way that it's currently written for our BSIs and providing some additional supports. The the methodologies, the levels of support that are outlined on that job description are not what we need currently because we have different needs, because our programs across our district look and function differently than they did when this was originally created.
It's a matter of changing the job description. And let me back up. In the description, does it specify that behavior support interventionists only work with special education students? And that can be amended to include general education students or not? As needed? Or is that illegal?
At this point, that would not be our recommendation.
Everybody's got behavioral needs, special ed, general ed.
The BSIs are special education programs, so they're specifically for special ed. I mean, you can't move special ed people into general ed, is my understanding, for staffing. Is that correct?
It's all driven by the needs identified.
So that's what the needs, if they have behavioral needs in the general population, you'd have to have somebody else that's in the general, another classified employee that's not special ed.
Well, not necessarily a classified employee, it could be whoever's right. So, and that is part of what we're looking for, is we're looking for the flexibility and resources to be able to support students across the district in really all areas, so that we're preventing the need for such a high level of behavior intervention. We need to be able to have the resources to provide supports and services for behavioral support at a tier 1 and tier 2 level, like we've talked about with our multi-tiered systems of support. And to be very clear, we have instructional aides, and that position is a 30-hour-a-week position, and those staff members right now do support behavior in our students. They work directly with students one-to-one in some cases, or just providing behavioral support inside of a classroom. They can push into a general education classroom. And so I think one of the speakers said that our BSIs would have an opportunity to apply for that position, and that is not true. They would be able to have those positions, and Ryan can speak more to that from an HR standpoint, but we would be utilizing them to work directly with our students to support behavior, just like our other 23, I think, instructional aides now are able to do.
Would the title be the same? I understand that the hours would be different, but would the title be the same? No. What are you envisioning?
No, because we would be eliminating the position of the behavior support interventionist as a job description in and of itself. What would happen instead, and kind of to Jenny's point, saying that the 5 people who are currently in those positions having to apply, they would not have to apply, but they would actually resume their rights because they all previously held a position as an instructional aide too. And that too includes a higher level of behavior support, and collecting data is what's described currently on that job description. And as Jenny said, that's we have, in addition to our BSIs, but across our district, we also in some of our programs across supporting students, we also have other people in this job description who are currently supporting students with IEPs, supporting student behavior across our district.
So I'm not understanding correctly. There would no longer be behavior support interventionists.
Correct, and instead the 5 people will become, their title will become an instructional aide too.
So when we talk about this
Which is what they were before, prior to moving into this.
it is about the elimination of a position. That's what we're talking about. It's not about the value of the people or what they bring, which is what's been talked about as well. So, and getting back to that issue of needing to notice by March 15th, so that it positions the district to programmatically move ahead in the direction that will be pursued with these employees providing services. It really is about this particular position, as was stated. Districts it's common that they do not have a BSI position to begin with, so it doesn't put us in a different situation from many other districts as well. It is about the position and eliminating of the position.
Okay, I think I got it straight. Does anybody want to?
Well, I'm just gonna throw it out there because I'm still a little uncomfortable. If we were to pass this and eliminate the issue related to the BSIs, in other words, you've got three series of people. You've got the child nutrition services, you've got the OT, you've got those two in there, but eliminate the portion about the BSIs. How close to achieving, what are we achieving at that point?
He's proposing just changing the resolution to not make this BSI change. I think what you're saying, Deb, is that you still are not comfortable with the proposal to eliminate these 5 positions and move the scopes into the classroom. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, that is an option we can propose, so we should be discussing that. Okay.
I struggle with this. It's, while I, don't have the expertise, and I rely on the district telling me kind of what their thoughts are on staffing. I struggle with removing supports for students unless I have a clear path for that it's going to look that they will be supported and teachers will be supported as well. And so I'm very conflicted. I don't know if there can be a presentation or something at a later time that they can kind of explain to me more in detail like what the program will look like and more thoroughly, because I don't have a very complete picture of it right now. I don't know if that would help. But yeah, I don't really have a set idea.
Well, the problem is we've got a March 15th issue.
Right, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to notice, and then you could always bring back the position if the board decided we wanted to keep them.
How? We eliminate the position?
And to Scott's point, the way that ed code is written is that today would be issuing, today or prior to March 15th, that is issuing a notice of a preliminary layoff. And then the board then would be required to take additional action prior to May 15th to then permanently issue or authorize an issue of a full layoff.
Okay, well, that would give us time to maybe get another presentation on exactly how this all works.
Yeah, if you don't do anything today, you're committed, you're committed to having these positions next year. You can't make any changes, you're done.
Yeah.
So if you, but it's the Sacramento, what I'm saying is the Sacramento's tied our hands. So normally it's you can change a position or eliminate a position with 60-day notice, decide that's something you want to go. If you want to keep the position, they can bring it back before the May 15th when you actually have to do the final layoff. Then you can do that. But if you make the decision today without hearing a presentation with all the pluses and minuses to what Ryan was talking about, then you've tied Ryan's hand. He can't do anything.
Yeah, I like to see that because we keep all of our options open.
Right.
We have 2 months to get a presentation together, go through it in more detail to understand the implications more thoroughly than we're getting them today. And then we have until May to make a final decision, so this is just a preliminary notice.
About the instructional aides, so you said that they're 30 hours, are all instructional aides 30 hours?
Yes, they are.
Can you explain that to me again, Erica, what you were suggesting, or what you were suggesting?
Okay, so maybe I can ask Ryan to explain the process.
Yes, and so Eric, if I understand what you were proposing is by adopting the resolution as it is written tonight, what that will in effect do is that will authorize HR, me, to issue a preliminary notice to our employees of a layoff status. As Scott accurately said, if we do not provide that preliminary notice to our employees by March 15th, with the change in Assembly Bill, nothing can be done until the following school year. Whereas in the past, we were able to have that flexibility to move to a 60-day notice depending on changes in circumstances, other information. This is in response to the change in the Assembly Bill. But also, you as a board have the discretion then you would then have to make a motion or adopt a resolution to issue a final layoff notice prior to May 15th.
So can we not issue that final notice and then they would still be kept on?
Correct. If you were to not issue a final layoff notice, then it's the preliminary layoff notice no longer means anything. It's just preliminary layoff notice letting one know that they may be subject to a layoff, but then it is not binding. And if the board does not authorize a full layoff notice by May 15th, then the position would carry over to the following year.
And I've been on the board long enough to have issued those types of notices only to rescind them,
Correct.
meetings before. I'm just, and what I would suggest is to add some language to this that makes our decision contingent on some sort of report or understanding more about this so that we can make an educated determination, because as Jiwa said, we have a little bit of pressure on us for the time and we don't have the information. So whenever that happens, I'm going to err on the side of not voting for it because I don't have the information. But if we make this decision today, I would only make it contingent on getting that information prior to any deadline. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair for everybody to have that understanding because I don't have a complete understanding. I can't really make the decision one way or the other. I'm hearing one thing, I'm hearing another thing. And I don't like being in that situation under pressure. So I'd rather have the information and be able to make an educated determination.
Just to clarify, so Pat, how we would do that is we would pass this resolution tonight. They don't need to amend the resolution. We are requesting now that we get a more comprehensive presentation about how the special needs area is staffed. And then if we're not satisfied with the presentation, we don't get our questions answered, we don't have to approve the final layoffs in May. And that's the action you can take at that time to just vote no.
Right, you just keep your options open. At this point, you pass the resolution. Otherwise, you can tie a stand and make your decision already. So, another question I've got is on the instructional aides in the other districts, are they 30 hours a week too?
I don't know, I can't speak to other districts as far as that's their IA positions and how they're staffed.
I have a question too. So to be a behavior support interventionist, I'd like to know if there's a presentation. What are the qualifications above and beyond instructional aid? Is it above and beyond? How do the two? Well, I guess three, because it sounds like there's two types of instructional aid. Like maybe if we could see a breakdown of each and how, kids do the Venn diagrams. Like how do they align and how are they different? How can we, use them and interchange them?
We'd be happy to provide that.
And that can all be part of the presentation.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, this is a good plan, and these are all of our options open. Can I ask for a motion to approve the resolution 2022-04?
I'll approve the resolution 2022-04.
Is there a second?
What do you think, Doug? Where are you at on this?
I don't ever want to tie my hands necessarily without having the information, so I think this gives us an opportunity to get the information. I know it doesn't make people feel good about getting a potential, but if we don't do something, then we can't do something. I'd rather have an option, when I hear information, I can wait I'm inclined to simply approve this pending the decision made.
Yeah. How about yourself, Catherine? Where are you at?
I've been in your shoes a couple times, and I feel for you. And I know that you know, it's, and I can say personally for myself that, you know, there's always open doors that lead to bigger and better things. So whatever happens, that's the case, I know. And I would like to hear more regarding these positions and how we plan on making sure that our students are receiving, our special education students, our general education students are receiving the behavioral supports that they deserve, and that this is a focus for our district, that we're working for every single child to be giving their best when they're at school, when they're not at school, to shine, like these parents are saying. They've seen the changes that this support system provides. I don't want to sacrifice that. I want to enhance it. So that's where I stand right now.
Yeah, for me, it's I know it's very unsatisfying. It's unsatisfying for people in hobbies, but I don't want to diminish the program. I want people to be, students to be supported. I want teachers to be supported as well. So I want to make sure that if there is in fact a change in the program, I want to see what that's going to look like. And I need more information about it. And currently, to me, it's kind of like I have teachers and an audience telling me what it is one way, and I have staff members telling me that it's going to look like this other thing. And so, you know, so for me, I think if we kind of postpone it a little bit, have presentation more fully, kind of vetted, I think it would be a good idea.
A second?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and second.
All those in favor of approving resolution 2022-04? Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Item 12.1 is board review, reminder of upcoming DMUSD events. They are posted in your agenda. Item 12.2 is board review, reminder of upcoming district DMS, and PTA events. And item 12.3 is board review, preliminary items for the March 2022 regular board meeting. Are there any items? Yeah, this, right. Yeah.
We could ask for one microphone for all of you to have that March 22nd.
Thank you. It also could be in a second for the board workshop, if they delve in.
Well, I'll leave that to